This is BBC News. I'm Sean Lay. The headlines at 6. As concern grows over President Trump's travel ban, Theresa May orders the Foreign Secretary and the Home Secretary to speak to their US counterparts about the implications for people here. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has called for the President's planned state visit to the UK to be cancelled unless the ban is lifted. In Yemen, US commanders have killed at least 14 al-Qaeda militants in a raid authorised by President Trump. And in sports today, we'll have a full roundup of all today's actions as Sutton United pull off one of the biggest shocks of this season's FA Cup. Hello and welcome to BBC News. In a few minutes we'll be joining Michelle Hussein and viewers to BBC One for a news summary. First though, our top story this hour. The government has intensified criticism of President Trump's temporary ban on refugees and on people from 7 countries with predominantly Muslim populations travelling to the United States. The Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and the Home Secretary Amber Rudd have been ordered by the Prime Minister to speak to their American counterparts, the Secretary of State and the Secretary for Homeland Security, to express Britain's concerns. Meanwhile, over 400,000 people have supported a petition online which says President Trump should not be invited to Britain. Mr Trump's executive order halted the entire US refugee programme for 4 months and imposed a 3-month ban on nationals from Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen travelling to the United States. There have been protests at airports around the world where travellers have been told they couldn't board their flights to the US even when they held visas. Speaking to the Meet the Press programme on MNBC this morning, the President's Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, defended the executive order and denied it was causing chaos.
I think it's one of these things that, and if you ask a lot of people at the Customs and Border Patrol, would just tell you got to rip off the Band-Aid and you have to move forward. And so, you know, it wasn't chaos. I mean, the fact of the matter is 325,000 people from foreign countries came into the United States yesterday, and 109 people were detained for further questioning. Most of those people were moved out. We've got a couple dozen more that remain. And I would suspect, as long as they're not awful people, that they will move through before another half a day today. And perhaps some of these people should be detained further. And if they're folks that shouldn't be in this country, they're going to be detained. And so apologize for nothing here.
Reince Priebus, the Chief of Staff to the President. The leader of the Republican majority in the US Senate, Mitch McConnell, has urged caution in the implementation of the President's order.
It's important to remember that some of our best sources in the war against radical Islamic terrorism are Muslims, both in this country and overseas. And we have had some difficulty in the past getting interpreters, as you suggested in the earlier segment, who are helpful to us, treated properly. So we need to be careful as we do this.
Scotland is the best.
Wales!
The Roman Empire!
Yeah!
Nelson!
Robert the Bruce.
James Joyce.
Shirley Bassey. Tom Jones, obviously.
Winston Churchill. Napoleon.
Johnny Wilkinson's feet.
Oh! We built the Titanic.
Invented the bicycle.
The internet.
Telephone.
Bagpipes. Red Dragons!
Coach!
I get steak and kidney pie.
Mozzarella.
Spotted dick.
Come on, Wales.
The Six Nations starts 4th of February across the BBC.
What have you been up to? Something grubby?
I'm Dame Judi Dench. I'm a national treasure.
Why settle for a German Europe when you could have a Scottish world?
If she wants independence, I'll make her head independent from her body.
Tracy Ullman's show is back with a bang, Friday at 9:30 on BBC One.
The government seeks assurances from Washington about how British citizens might be affected by the US travel ban. The order from President Trump came hours after he met Theresa May at the White House. Now there are calls for his state visit here to be cancelled. Despite a court order and protests against the ban, the administration has signalled today that it is pressing ahead. We'll be looking at the reaction here and around the world. Also this evening, the right of parents to take their children on holiday in term time faces a new legal test, this time in the Supreme Court.
Did he ever believe it? Did he ever dare believe it?
And Roger Federer is back, winning an 18th Grand Slam title. Good evening. Theresa May has ordered the Foreign Secretary and the Home Secretary to try and obtain assurances from the Trump administration about how its travel ban on people from 7